Hi everyone! In this video, we'll talk about localizing platform applications. First of all, let's look at the reasons why one might want to localize their application. The first and the most obvious reason is that you might want to develop an application for people who speak a different language, or maybe even several different languages. The second reason is that once you have configured the interface of your application, localizing this application allows for reusing it with minimal adjustments or even without them. And finally, localization allows for dynamically changing interface texts when needed. The localization process starts with defining the list of target locales. A locale is a set of parameters that defines the user's language and sometimes the region where this language is used. In Platform, locales are configured on the Language Settings Localization List tab. By default, the application designer has 4 locales, 2 Russian ones and 2 English ones. If you're going to work with other languages, or maybe with different regional versions of already added languages, you can add the needed locales manually. For example, suppose that you're creating an application that will be used in Singapore. As of now, Singapore has 4 official languages: English, Mandarin, Tamil, and Malay. Let's imagine that you want to give your users the opportunity to choose any of these 4 languages at authorization so that they can use the application in the chosen language. Since the English locale is already present in Platform, to achieve your goal, you need to add 3 more locales for the Chinese, Malay, and Tamil languages. The added locales will be displayed to the user in the authorization window, and the user will be able to select one of them. Once the needed locales are added, you can start creating localization keys. Localization keys serve as placeholders for text strings that require translation. In Platform, localization keys are used in forms, modules, and classifiers. Form localization keys are used to localize widget properties, for example, labels, tooltips, etc. You can localize any property that has a localization button, which is this T button next to the property name. Clicking this button opens the list of the current form's localization keys, and you can select one of them for this property. Form localization keys are configured on the Localization Form tab. The usage field of each key indicates the number of widgets in which this key is currently used. Module localization keys are configured on the Localization Keys module tab. If needed, they can be grouped. For example, for convenience, you can group keys that are related to the same form. Classifier localization keys are configured on the Localization Classifier tab. The number of localization keys is equal to the number of classes. Therefore, in classifiers, you cannot add new keys or delete existing keys. Let's assume that you have created the needed localization keys in the form, and now you need to localize form notifications. Now, you might think that maybe you need to use each localization key separately on this form, but this solution would be pretty hard to maintain in bigger applications. To simplify the localization process, Platform has functions that return a JSON object with a collection of localization keys and their translations in the specified locale. Such functions exist for forms, modules, and classifiers. Therefore, instead of using keys separately, before loading the form, you can obtain a collection of notifications translations and then pass this collection to the diagram so that notification messages can be configured further. However, for correct localization, it's not enough to just add and configure localization keys. What else is very important is having quality translations of the needed texts. To achieve that, one might need to involve translators in the localization process. The question that you might be asking now is whether or not translators will have to make a list of all keys that exist in the application and then translate all of them manually. Luckily, this is not the case. Platform allows for exporting localization keys from forms, modules, and classifiers to an Excel file. This Excel file can be given to a translator. They can fill it in with their translations, and after that, you can easily import the file back into the application. And this brings us to the end of the video. Thank you for watching and see you next time.